very cinematic. I don't know if there's a better word, like not visually, but there's like a very cinematic thing to me of using the letter as a way to get to the core of what he's feeling about. Like that feels more complicated and interesting than what Star Trek usually does. Certainly Star Trek Enterprise normally does. Mm-hmm. I really like that. I even liked his incredibly literal dream sequence. Where he meets the girl and she's like, "Are you thinking about me?" He's like, "Yes." She's like, "No, you're not. You're thinking about your dead sister." He goes, "You're damn right. You're damn right, my dead sister."
Could you imagine being in his position and having to write a letter home to your coworker talking about the fact that they had died and using voice to text on your iPhone to do it?
Hopefully he goes in and cleans that up a little bit, because there's
the only thing I was thinking at the end after that really poignant, you get to see the letter and whatever. He puts down the picture of his sister and he like pats it. What's his sister's name?
Elizabeth, I think.
He like pats it and he's like, "That was for you, Elizabeth," or whatever he says. The only thing I could think was, that's in the letter. You didn't say stop recording.
The little Siri icon is still glowing. The little glowing globe is still spinning in the corner. Yeah. I like, I also, I think the voice to text is a very funny way for them to do it. But I just liked this plot. This is everything that I think, this is what Enterprise does well consistently, is this stuff. And I think that this kind of character work really works as a prequel. I think it's a huge, huge problem that Enterprise never saw this early and never adapted to this, and said that this show exists in these small, like, melodramatic moments of early humanity where everything is kind of overly emotional about stuff. Like, in context to where Star Trek becomes, our early adventures in space are less about the scientific problem solving and more about like the emotional problem solving of what's going on out there, because they always do well with it. I think Trenier does like his best work that he's done on the show in this episode. The scene with him and T'Pol is fantastic. That's like really good. That's like good in terms of Star Trek, because that's like a wonderful Vulcan and human conversation to have in this prequel stuff. It all works.
Even though the Vulcan in the situation is like
got watery eyes.
Got the acid jaw shiver thing. That scene, the closest I've ever come, at least in this series, to tearing up.
Yeah,
I thought he was just killed it. Really, really good.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think that what makes it even better is that imagine if this episode had built off of earlier episodes in the season. I think this is like an all-timer in some ways. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's operating only within itself, which is a problem, is both a pro and a con in some ways. But I think that it damages the long Xindi story, because it's hard to get to this point and not remember the fact that they haven't brought up the sister in a while. Like T'Pol's drug addiction is really not a good thing that they decided to do.
Yeah.
But when you get here and it's done well, you still have to go like, well, the show can do it when the show wants to do things.
Yeah, there's a certain point where it's almost like, backstage you're seeing, Manny, there's a certain way we deal with Trip's loss of his sister here. And it's by putting his hands all over T'Pol. And it's, oh my God, it's amazing. So if we could keep that up, that would be great. And then Manny's like, yeah, or we could, deal with this like two humans or, actual character work. As long as their shirts are off, do whatever you want.
Berman takes the Mr. Burns. He's like, Brennan, fire this man. He says, this man doesn't work for us, Mr. Burns.
Brandon. Where's Brandon?
Smoking a cigarette, looking out the window. I guess it's worth sticking on the T'Pol and Trip thing for a while, just because it is the rest of it is well done, but it's mostly Trip sort of battling about the letter. Do you have anything else? Do you have anything to say about the letter as a construct, or the letter as a device that the story uses to get its point across?